Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Guild Wars 1 Let's Play. We are here in the second episode of Nightfall. We just started Nightfall in the previous episode. We just finished the mission in the previous episode. So now we're talking to first Spear David. Hi Spear of Gaggle, I've heard of the role you played in saving Chabek Village. Lady Luck must have been smiling upon you, eh? Well, now that the heroics are over, it's time to get back to your schooling. We set up the temporary encampment nearby where our most skilled members gather to train recruits to help rebuild the village. Being a Sunspear is a lot like playing cards. It never hurts to learn a new trick or two. Alright. So essentially what this is the very short version of what we've done in the other two campaigns where you just run around and grab some new skills. I think you actually also pick a secondary profession very early on in Nightfall. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you pick up a secondary profession very early on. So we're looking for Expert Paragon Trainer. There we are. There should be two of them somewhere. I don't know where the second one is, but we're going to go have a look and try to find them, because there's two of each profession. Hurry, hurry, there's no moment to waste. The spear is a deadly weapon, but you have to see your enemy coming. Ambush is your bane. 1, 2, throw. No time to chatter, no time for anything. Those courses have killed people and burned villages. You don't want to happen to end. Do you want to learn Spear Master? Yes, yes, I'll teach you, but you've got to hurry up. You teach me some Paragon skills. We got 2 new skills. One that gives bleeding and one that deals some extra damage. I think now it wants us to go to... Okay. It wants us to go to first Spear David, but I want to find the other Paragon Trainer because I am almost 90% sure there's 2 Paragon Trainers, or there should be because there's 2 for all the other ones. Actually, there might be more for the other ones. But I saw at least 2 dervishes, so I'm assuming there's got to be at least one more. Also, I like how we can walk back into the mission area in here. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here we go. 2 more Expert Paragons over here. See, I thought there were more of them. Don't let Mothis scare you. He's a big teddy bear on the inside, but if he's rough on those recruits, they'll freeze up in combat and get hurt. Every Sunspear counts. And get through those corsairs. We're going to need every soldier we can muster, but be glad to teach you about battle shouts if you're interested. A good scream every now and then is good for the soul. Speak up, Sunspear. Chest out, shoulders back. That's better. I'm Mothusu, and I was in charge of the town guard for Chabek Village. Don't give me the eye, recruit. I'm headed... How'd you drive those corsairs back into the sea as soon as the team of lily-livered recruits understands how to get their messages across? Do you want to learn how to strike fear into the hearts of your enemy with a word? That's sir, yes, sir to you. Okay. Equip later. But we've gotten us a whole bar of skills now. So we'll talk just a little bit about how Paragons work as I'm just running around doing these quests. So Paragons use a spear and shield as their weapon set. We actually don't have a shield yet. But, so they have spear attacks, and then they have chants and shouts. Chants are basically just these things that have a casting time, and they enhance all of your allies with an effect within range. This one makes them do burning with their next auto attack. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's also just shouts, which are like, it just basically insta-cast versions of chants, now that I think about it, after all these years. We also do have some more basic stuff like signets and stuff like that. But we also have something unique to Paragons, which is command here. So what command does is, this is our primary spec, which every class has a primary spec, and it changes. It does not change. It does not get added if you go the secondary. So like if I was a warrior paragon, I would never get command. So what command does is, as you get to, or excuse me, it's not command, it's leadership. My mistake. It's leadership. You gain 2 energy for each ally affected by one of your shouts or chants for every 2 ranks. So basically it's just a way for Paragons to manage energy. There's also these things called echoes, which are basically just like effects that refresh whenever a shout or chant ends. So it's very much a shout and chant based support-ish class that has spear skills to augment its damage. Did you learn a few things? Well, that's what school is about. If you ever need to practice, head back to the encampment. I'm sure nobody would mind having a paragon of your caliber around. Oh, I had noticed you haven't chosen a secondary profession yet. Talk to me after you've gotten a bit more experience. I'll tell you who to choose. Later. Hi. How's your luck been lately? Mine's improved greatly since you helped me clear out those corsair raiders. Of course, we can't rely on luck to get us through every scrape. A seasoned soldier never ignores us training. In fact, those are corsaires. All news recruits must hone their primary skills until they reach level 5. Then begin a rigorous training regimen in a secondary profession. We've got to be our best if we hope to challenges that face Alonos. So come in again when you've reached level 5. I'll be back in no time. So this is something that Nightfall does that the other ones didn't do, is Nightfall actually does some very kind of standard-ish MMO things where it stops you at certain points. It's like, come back when you're a higher level. Come back when you have more rep. Stuff like that. I actually don't like it. We saw it at one point in factions, but it's kind of an excuse to run around and do a whole bunch of things in factions. It's kind of used for the same thing here. But not really my favorite. Thankfully, we are already level 3, and we just have to get some more XP. So what I generally do is I pick up all the quests around here. I'm going to go... Which ones do I actually want to do first? Let's do this merchant's quest. Identity theft. I have a favor to ask you. My stock of identification kits is run dangerously low, and my latest shipment is long overdue. I fear something has gone wrong. Can you make an inquiry with Kopatu at Champions Dawn about my kits? He's my supplier, so he's better have answers. Okay. Identity theft. So I'm going to go do this. We're probably going to spread out these side quests. Normally I'd pick them all up at once and just do them all, but I don't want the video to be super long, so... We're going to do one at a time. Oh yeah, here's another system. So remember how we got the bounties in the previous game with the Luxons and the Kurziks? There's a very similar thing here in Nightfall for Sunspear points first and later some other options. Sunspear scouts are stationed at every resurrection shrine in Istan. We can tell you about some of the dangers there and inform you of any bounties. Do you have a bounty to offer? Aha, your hero was sent to the wasteland to get some information about those hostile plant problem. It's bad, but nothing the Sunspears can't handle. Here's your portion of the bounty that Corsair is offering to help destroy some of those plants. So the way this works is that you, instead of in the previous game where you just got a quest for everything at once, you get quests for specific enemies here in Nightfall, or not quests, excuse me, bounties for specific enemies. So I get double XP from plants, and I get 1 Sunspear promotion point for each one I slay. So there's a good chance to talk about Sunspear points. Sunspear points, right here, here's our title. Sunspear points are basically just, they serve 2 purposes. At certain points in the campaign, you do actually have to have a certain rank in the Sunspear tree to continue. But overall, it generally just exists to be a title you can grind out, and it does augment one thing we'll see very soon, which is Sunspear skills. Which, much like the Luxon and Kurzik skills of the previous game, are like faction-specific skills. But unlike in the previous game, everybody gets access to them. It's 1 PvE skill per profession, and much like the Kurzik skills, they generally interact with the main like theme of the professions. So a lot of them are generally like kind of locked to the class that they belong to, if that makes sense. That wasn't super well worded. There's some cool things about them though, but because they are I didn't really talk about this, but because they are attached to your specific ranking with the Sunspears, like that's how the skill improves instead of putting points into the different trees, into the different skill trees. What that actually means is that as you play through the game, or that the skills will get more powerful as you get more Sunspear reputation. But it also means that you can actually use it without having to invest in any other, like, tree line. So, unless the skill itself specifically wants you to. There are some that are generally the more powerful ones that are like, okay, it is a Sunspear skill, but you need to have X amount in whatever the main attribute for the quest is. Like, the big one that I'll show you whenever we get here is the one for a monk. Monks is very very strong for certain content. We'll talk about that once we get in here. So this is the Sunspear Great Hall. This is on our way to Champions Dawn, so I figured we'll walk in here and pick up the outpost. I don't think we can actually get the skill yet, but this is where you get the Sunspear skills as well. I'm going to see if I can actually get one. So you talk to the Sunspear rank officer here. It also lets you kind of explore Istan. That's pretty cool. Oh, excuse me. Actually, it's this guy here. It's hero skills, excuse me. I can't help you out. Notice that you haven't chosen a secondary profession yet. You really ought to head back in town and get that sorted out. Okay, so you can't until you pick a secondary profession. So let's put Sunspear skills in the back of your mind, and I'll talk about them more whenever we get to a point where that is relevant. So let's head out here to Champions Dawn again. But yeah, the Nightfall start is always a bit slower than the other one. This is why almost all my characters are from factions. You can have a character done with factions to level 20 and have all their attribute points in like 2 or 3 hours if you know what you're doing. If you use outside help, even faster, but even just doing it by yourself, like with the characters you have, not trading money over any of that stuff, it only takes 2 or 3 hours to reach max level, get all your attribute points, that kind of stuff, and be relatively in a good spot to make your character for whatever you want. But Nightfall lets you get all the heroes and some other nice things. So a lot of people it was always the debate kind of in the community whether you're supposed to make your extra characters in Nightfall or in factions. I always preferred the factions route, in part because I enjoy factions more as a locale, but also just because it was quicker, and because a lot of times my characters were made for very specific content. Like, you know, I had an Ellie only to do the underworld or something like that, so I really didn't need the character to be, you know, well developed. I just needed it to have the 1 or 2 specific builds I need for the specific content I'm trying to do with it. And for that reason, I tended to be more of a factions enjoyer for my new characters. Because the Nightfall intro is rather long. It's you have to do some side grinds, which I probably will show off in the series, and it's a pretty good length compared to the other ones. Let's talk to, I think it's this merchant here. Yeah, this merchant here. Identity theft. Please tell Sharon that I'm sorry about his product, but as a matter out of my hands, all my shipments have been delayed due to recent corsair attacks. His crate was taken during a raid of my latest caravan. If you want, you have to get it from the corsairs. Those blasted corsair raiders ticking up residing somewhere inside the cliffs of Donjok. Well, looks like we're going into the next explorable area. And before the end of the episode, I want to read... Actually, let's do this now. Let's read out this little snippet here. Situated near the mineral-rich cliffs of Donjok, Champions Dawn is the base of operation for Istani Society of Engineers and Architects. The stone and gems quarried here have fueled Istani architecture for a millennium. The primeval style is also deeply implicated in modern Istani builders, that the society is a long-standing rivalry with the Excavation Corps or the States of the Ruins to the west. So, a little bit about that. There was a long time ago in Alona, which is the name of this continent that we're in. Let's actually zoom out. Alona, name of this continent. There was this dynasty called the Primeval Dynasty. This is way back in the day, basically, and it was a society that existed before modern Istan. Or, sorry, modern Alona, which is broken up into 3 different regions. The island nation of Istan, the kind of more deserty area of Korna, very kind of like militaristic. Over here, this is like the seaside, and then up here is Vabi, which is kind of like opulence, almost kind of Middle Eastern style. Personally, one of my favorite like styles in the entire game is Vabi. I love Vabi. Vabi, whatever. But anyway, yeah. So the Primeval Dynasty basically superseded all this stuff way back in the day, and then just kind of ended at some point. Like, part of this story is kind of figuring out why that happened. People know that there was like a mysterious plague that wiped them all out, and there are a couple quests to deal with that. But yeah, let's go out there and find these pirates. Let's see what our Sunspear scout has for us here. You're here so soon. I didn't expect you for days. I'm very impressed, Sunspear. I'm glad you had time just to I had time to do some preliminary scouting before you arrived. The scale problem is very serious. It's going to be a lot of work to bring their population here under control. Okay, so scale bounty. Cool. And we're going to read some of the other outposts as we go through. I probably won't read the Sunspear Great Hall yet. We'll do that whenever we actually get there in a story. But we'll read Commandant. And I want to talk a little bit about Commandant whenever we get back there. Because Commandant is a relatively important series to the game as a whole. Alright. Let's hit this dude here. This is our first boss outside of the beginning mission. Just gotta try to spread some of this bleeding out. We've aggroed another group, but it should be fine. Shipment crate. Alright, we can go back to Commandant. Alright, so first things first, let's read out Commandant. Commandant is the home port of the mighty Istani Navy and the main point of landfall for ships from nearby corners as well as those traveling from Cantha and Tyria and the Battle Isles. Its deep harbor is sheltered from seasonal storms by rigid hills to the south. Built around relics and statues from the day of the primeval kings, Commandant has earned the title Jewel of Istan. So this is the capital city for Istan. As always, most, if not all, regions of the game have a capital city. And this is also like the port town for this game. So as you can see, we can travel already to Embark Great Temple, which in other games we couldn't until a certain point. We can't go to the other campaigns yet until another point that's a little bit farther down the line. But that will also become an option at some point to travel to the other campaigns and do them. But this outpost is pretty famous for a couple of reasons. For one, it's where most people in this game kind of hang out. It kind of became the trade hub of the game for a couple of reasons. One, any new character you make in Nightfall literally has to do one mission and they're already here. This means that if you have a character that like you want to park here or like alts that just hold stuff, it was very easy just to place them here. Just have them like ready to sell stuff to people. So very easy to get to. That was the main reason people kind of hung out here. And this was the main place that people sell stuff. And even to this day, it generally has a couple districts full on the American English side, which we left to kind of get away from a lot of the people. But there were like 3 or 4 districts, which for this game is actually a pretty high margin, considering the heavy instanced nature of this game, where you spend very little time in town. But yeah, this is like the main hangout. So if you ever pick up this game and trying to buy something, or want to, maybe know some stuff, maybe ask around here in the American English district. At least it's probably where you'll have the best luck of finding people. But anyway, let's talk to this dude. Thank you so much, Spear of Yagle. I didn't expect you to go to such lengths to retrieve my identification kits. As a token of my gratitude, you can keep one of them. There's a useful item for an adventurer such as you. If you come across any identified items... Okay, so this is basically just a tutorial on how identifying stuff works. This is something that Nightfall also did relatively well compared to the other games, is that Nightfall has some of those baked-in tutorials in the beginning here, and will give us quite a few little different random things. I might end up grabbing some of these later. These are for these are from some ooh, yeah. I totally forgot about all this stuff. This is from the bonus mission pack. I should actually show these off in the Let's Play. I should have showed these off when they were relevant to the Let's Play. These might be getting tacked on at the end of each of the Let's Plays, because I just realized that each one of these missions, this was later content that was released into the game, but each one of these missions from these 4 different people here are essentially tell a side story in each of the campaigns, and I should do those, so I'm going to add that to the little notepad of stuff to make. But anyway, I want to thank you for coming out. I hope you have a great day. I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.